When did you come to New Zealand?
I came to New Zealand in 2004 as an international student, and I went to Fiordland College in Te Anau.
And what did you study?
Just high school. And then I moved to Invercargill 2 years later, and I did a business certificate in business at SIT for 6 months. Then I moved to Wellington in 2006, and I did a bridging course, which enabled me to get into a foundation course at Victoria University, and then I started my BA in linguistics in 2008, but I was unable to complete my BA when I came out to my parents in 2010, and then I lost all my funding and I had to go back. And then I got politically involved in the Maldives. I was there for 2 years. I organised a couple of protests at which people got hurt. And yeah.
These were gay rights protests?
No, they were just human rights protests, calling for tolerance in religion. And it was not very, I don't know, we organised it on the 10th of December, which is International Human Rights Day. And I don't know, we had 30 plus people show up, the very first one that we did in 2010. That was a month after I arrived. And then we had a second one on the 10th of December as well, but they were expecting us this time. And they threw cobblestones at us and rocks, and one of our main champions of gay rights and human rights in the Maldives, Hilat Rashid, he had his skull fractured, and the police arrested him, and he was in jail for over a month, and then Amnesty International declared him a prisoner of conscience. And then the police even summoned some of the people that were at the gathering to the station, and they were oh, did you know about this? What were you doing there? And I was summoned because I went to the police station to file a complaint against this injustice, this abuse that just had happened, with Hilat's head being smashed open and him being arrested. And I was oh, well, what's going on? And they were oh, well, we're now looking into who and why this protest was organized and why. And it was ridiculous, and they asked me if I knew who it was, and I was not really. I was just walking by and I saw this incident, but it was fully me that organized the protest. And, yeah.
So what happened then?
Well, nothing to me personally, but he was eventually released, and later one night, he was on his way home, and his throat was slashed, and he had 1% chance of survival, and he survived. And as soon as he got out of the hospital, we got him out of the country, and he's currently in exile in Sri Lanka, but he's in limbo because he still hasn't applied for refugee status or sought asylum or anything, because it's a terrifying thing, going to another country and leaving everything that you know behind. And I guess I was quite lucky to have had friends here in New Zealand that were offering me a bed and food and and that made the transition for me easier. But I feel Hilat's still in limbo, and just because he's really afraid, and there's no one to help him through his emotions and feelings. And
what made you leave?
Well, when Hilat's throat was slashed, I knew it was not going to be really easy for us to even talk about gay rights. Even before we had gay rights, we need to have freedom of religion, and then can only other rights fall into place. If there isn't any tolerance or acceptance in religion, and if Islam is still the state religion in the Maldives, no sort of social justice can really happen. Yeah. It's interesting.
What made you say, I want to leave my country forever? Because potentially it would be, wouldn't it?
Potentially it is, like, right after I left, I sought asylum, and I entered a drag pageant in 2014 and won it, and it was like Miss Capital Drag 2014 or something. And then there was an article about me on the front page of Dom Post, and that got picked up by Maldivian media, and the day after, the president's office released a statement, like, about me pretty much, and it was like, oh, anyone, like, that's seeking asylum is a criminal, they're welcome to come back, but, you know, the laws they speak of is, like, our laws which will never change, and, like, that kind of just proved the point. I feel more at home here than I've felt anywhere else. Like, I've lived most of my adult life in New Zealand, and, like, a lot of people know me here, and it feels right.
Did you have a hard time adjusting when you first arrived?
No, like, I got off that plane onto that tarmac at 18 years old, and I just felt like, oh my gosh, I'm home. Like the cold breeze that just, like, slapped me in the face, and I was like, wow. Like, it just, I don't know, I can't describe it. It's always just felt right.
What do you want people watching this to know about refugees and your experience as a refugee?
I suppose that we're people, like, and we have feelings just like you and anybody else, and we're wanting to have equal opportunities as, like, everyone else, and that we want to be our most authentic, true self, and sometimes we're not able to do that, and sometimes we are. I don't know. If we just want a chance, I guess. Everybody just wants a chance.